Ryan Glover, and this video is about someone who needs no introduction. Quincy Jones, he was a very versatile musician. He was a multi-talented music icon who has a vast legacy. He's produced Michael Jackson's historic Thriller album. He wrote prize-winning film and television scores and collaborated with people like Ray Charles and Frank Sinatra and many other recording artists. He has died at the age of 91. Jones' publicist Arnold Robinson says he died Sunday night at his home in the Bel Air section of Los Angeles, surrounded by his family. Rest in peace to Quincy Jones. Always looked at him as an icon, particularly being from the south side of Chicago where Quincy Jones is from. He came from that area where he started off running with gangs and came to Hollywood to basically take over the music industry. I think that's an incredible story that isn't talked about enough. Jones was friends with presidents such as Bill Clinton and foreign leaders such as Shimon Peres, the former prime minister and president of Israel, movie stars, musicians, philanthropists, and business leaders. He toured with Count Basie and Lionel Hampton, and arranged records for Ella Fitzgerald, Sinatra. He had worked with Aretha Franklin. Just an incredible legacy in music, all that he had done. I think he's probably one of the most notable people in music in my lifetime. I think being able to compose the soundtrack for movies such as In the Heat of the Night and Roots, and he oversaw the recording of We Are the World, which is the 1985 charity record for famine relief in Africa. He produced Michael Jackson's album Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. And he was one of the first African Americans to hold a top executive position at a major American record label. So he has a legacy that can't be denied in music, all that he accomplished. Quincy Jones also, had a very vocal stance when it came to politics. I think as the election nears, it's important to remember, his stance on Donald Trump, who he called basically crazy, and said that the people who supported him were uneducated rednecks. This was in 2018 in an interview in Vulture, where he also talked about once dating Ivanka Trump. And I remember when Quincy Jones was dating Ivanka Trump, because I actually lived in Los Angeles and I would see them in Beverly Hills. So the racism in the North is disguised. You never know where you stand. That's why what's happening now is good, because people are saying they are racist who didn't used to say it. Now we know. Jones, 84, said in an interview with Vulture, Quincy Jones won 28 Grammys in his lifetime. He had 80 nominations. He was tied with Beyonce at the time of his death as the most awarded living person and second highest Grammy winner of all time. His wins include 3 Producer of the Year, non-classical awards, and 2 awards each for Album of the Year and Song of the Year. He's been nominated a record 79 times since 1961. Jones survived a life-threatening illness in 1974, but not before friends and family had begun preparing for his death. He later attended his own memorial service alongside comedian Richard Pryor, singers Marvin Gaye and Sarah Vaughan, and actor Sidney Poitier. Jones earned a Recording Academy Trustees Award in 1989 and a Grammy Legend Award in 1992. The Grammy Foundation Starry Night event, which celebrated the Recording Academy's 50th anniversary, also recognized Jones' career in music. Grammy Camp Jazz Sessions performers opened the event. Quincy Jones had a lot of jobs. He was a music producer, composer, songwriter, musician, and even TV producer. But perhaps his proudest achievement is being a father of 7 children. The music industry icon was crazy about his kids: Jolie, Rachel, Martina, Quincy III, Kadada, Rashida, and Kenya. Kadada actually, is known for, dating Tupac Shakur, while he was, alive before he had passed away. And I think, Tupac Shakur had criticized Quincy Jones while he was alive for, having biracial children. And that's how him and Kadada ended up in a relationship. And then, of course, Rashida is a competent actress. We've seen her in a number of different television shows over the years. I think such as Boston Public on the NBC comedy series The Office. I'm not really familiar with his other kids, but I'm sure they're great people. Quincy Jones is also an EGOT. He's one of the few people who has an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony Award. The Emmy is for the soundtrack to Roots, and the Grammy was for obviously he's won 28 of those. The Oscar was awarded in 1994 for his humanitarian work, and the Tony Award is for the revival of the musical The Color Purple. An interesting story about The Color Purple is that he was the person who actually recommended Oprah for being in that role, which she eventually was nominated for an Academy Award after he saw her on local TV in Chicago. I think that Quincy Jones, man, he just lived this amazing life, that it seems something out of a movie or like a fictional character, but some of the things he did is the stuff of legend. And that an interesting fact about him is that he was married 3 times, and he was criticized, now that times have changed, for dating younger women, being someone who was older. I think there were conversations with his daughter. Basically, they didn't want him to date anyone younger than him, but he was very vocal that he didn't want to date women his own age, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about it. There are a number of rumors about Quincy Jones and his sexual orientation. A lot of accusations or rumors have been levied against him, especially as these Diddy charges came out. A lot of people have done videos saying that Quincy Jones was scared that people were going to come after him. I think that there's rumors about Tupac Shakur, saying that Quincy Jones wanted to engage in sexual acts with him. There's also some rumors about Fresh Prince, Will Smith, basically getting the role of the Fresh Prince because of some sexual act with Quincy Jones. And I think that MC Shan has talked about this extensively in videos and interviews, because he was first offered the role of Fresh Prince and he had turned down Quincy Jones' advances. Regardless of the rumors, I think that you have to look at his life and conceptually, and this is a person who was a young man, was briefly addicted to heroin, but gave up after a quick course of ghetto rehab. Also known falling down 5 flights of stairs while under the influence. Quincy had moved to Paris in the late 1950s. He lived across the street from Picasso and studied classical composition with Nadia Bollinger, teacher to some of the most famous composers and performers of the 20th century. He was behind some of the most iconic hits of the 1960s, Dinah Washington's Mad About the Boy, Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon, and Soul Bossa Nova, the Austin Powers theme tune, to name just a few. I think that you have to give him credit. And I talked previously about him, thinking that he was going to die. He had survived a life-threatening brain aneurysm in 1974. He was gravely ill, and friends and family had started planning his own memorial service. And in the lineup, which included Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor, and Sarah Vaughan, was so fierce that Quincy ended up attending in person with a neurologist on standby. He was an executive producer on the 1990s hit sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His son, Quincy Jones II, wrote and produced the theme tune. Quincy Jones, one of this incredible figures in music. I have a lot of respect for him. I think that there's obviously going to be criticism of anyone's life because no one's perfect, but I have to pay respects to Quincy Jones and all that he accomplished in music, and it can't be denied. And rest in peace to Quincy Jones, man. So I'm Ryan Glover, and thank you for checking out this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed this video. What do you think, I could have talked about more, about Quincy Jones' life? Do you feel I was pretty accurate? And make sure you check out some of my other videos.